Please be seated. As we get started with our program, I would like to share a reminder that we are here to celebrate our understanding graduates and all that they have accomplished. There is so much to be proud of. Let's please keep the focus on them. Please be mindful that each student and their guests deserve to hear their name called while walking across the stage. Please hold applause until all students have crossed the stage.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Gary Lebovich, and I am the chair of the Board of Trustees. To all the parents, friends, guests, and alumni who have gathered here today, welcome. To the class of 2024, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, let me be the first to congratulate you on your graduation from Clark and your induction into the community of Clark alumni. Congratulations. I imagine for some of you, you never thought this day would come. For others, perhaps it's come too soon. And for others, you hunger for more as you move on to continue your studies in graduate and professional programs. While this may feel like an ending, it really is just the beginning. It's the beginning of a great adventure, the rest of your life, one that only you can define and shape. I know it sounds kind of scary, but isn't this really what you've been waiting for? Take it from me, a fellow graduate from the class of 1981, Clark has prepared you very well. Of course, none of you could have reached this moment on your own. I hope you take time today to pause and reflect upon all the people who made your journey into and out of Clark possible. Your teachers and professors, your friends, coaches, and mentors who helped steer and influence you. And it goes without saying, your parents who proudly sit in the audience today and feel a tremendous set of pride and accomplishment, and for some, I'm sure, a sense of relief in helping you reach this stepping stone. I challenge you now to think about how you will show up and engage with the world at large as you leave the cocoon of Clark University. To help answer that question, I'd like to share a story about Joe DiMaggio, the famous Yankee Clipper, one of the all-time great Major League Baseball players. It was near the end of his illustrious career, and Joe was hampered by bad knees and other ailments associated with 13 years of sterling play. It was late September at the end of a dreary Yankee season, yet there was Joe DiMaggio in the locker room, hours before game, painstakingly going through a pregame routine for a meaningless contest. A reporter happened to amble by and asked why the great DiMaggio was so persnickety about readying himself to play. And DiMaggio responded with the following: because there is always somebody in this stadium who will be seeing me play for the first time, and I owe him my best. So what does that have to do with you? When you leave this campus today, you will be starting a journey of discovery in whatever path you may choose that will bring you into contact for the first time with people and institutions who will engage you, question you, challenge you, evaluate you, and in some cases perhaps hire you, promote you, mentor you, and yes, unfortunately, maybe even fire you. You should ensure that every contact, every meeting, every engagement you have along your life journey creates a positive reflection upon you as a person. That transaction that you experience today could reverberate in some profound way down life's long, curvy road. Whether it's a simple email, a phone call, a letter, a casual conversation, remember that you will be judged by what you say, how you say it, and the quality of your exchange. Whether you're a Hall of Famer like Joe DiMaggio or a recent graduate of Clark University, you always want to be at the top of your game because your next interaction could have consequences for now and the future. Life can sometimes seem like a random walk, but here's a news bulletin. It is not. Never take for granted an opportunity to present your best self. Woody Allen once quipped, 90% of life is just showing up, which may be true, but it's that last 10% that typically determines your fate. You never know when an opportunity arises, so be ready to catch the ball when it comes your way. And how you show up will be shaped by your willingness to invest in preparation and diligence, so be forewarned. You can't simply Google your way through life. Rather, take advantage of all that you have learned and experienced here at Clark to leave lasting impressions that become a testimony to who you are as a person and reflect a meaningful and fulfilling engagement to those who are fortunate enough to meet you and get to know you. I wish you well, and I hope you hit a home run in all your future endeavors. Once again, congratulations. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the leader of our university, our president, David Fithian.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Lebovich. Welcome all, including those joining the ceremony by live stream around the globe. Today is the 120th time in 137 years that Clark University has held formal commencement exercises. Today, we recognize one graduating class, the class of 2024. While we recognize one class, we celebrate with each degree we confer 1,242 individuals and their unique paths, passions, and pursuits to this point. So much precedes this day, and so much, of course, will follow it. But for now, for this day, smile upon yourself, applaud your achievements, reflect upon your growth, celebrate your friends and classmates, and perhaps most importantly, bask in the love of those here with you and for you. All of us up here, representing the trustees, administration, faculty, staff, and alumni, are so proud of you, especially for overcoming all that you have had to in the past 4 years. We are smiling upon you. We applaud you. We celebrate you, and yes, we too love you. It is now my great privilege and honor to formally begin these exercises, but I need your help. If we don't do this part right and do it together, your degrees will be invalid. And we can't have that. So I'm counting on all of you. Now, those who are here who got their first degree from Clark last year know how to do this. In a moment, I'm going to issue a simple declaration, after which, not before, after which, I need everyone in this arena to roar at the top of your lungs. Yes, I said roar. I mean the fiercest cougar roar you can muster. Full-throated, no-nonsense roar. Okay? Now, for this to work, people back on campus need to be able to hear us. Are you ready? All right, here goes. As the 10th president of Clark University, and as an alumnus of the college's centennial class of 1987, I declare these ceremonies open. A+. Well done, that was excellent. And now your degrees are legit. Thank you. So now, to explain today's order of exercises, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium Sebastian Royo, the university's Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs and Professor of Political Science.
Thank you, President David Fithian. Good morning, everyone. What happened? Too much partying last night? Come on, let's try again. Good morning. Good morning. That sounds much better. it is my tremendous pleasure to be here with you today, and I want to start by congratulating all the graduates. You are the COVID class. You have overcome so much. Most of you didn't even have a high school graduation, and we're determined to make it up for you today. You are examples of resilience. You're examples of resilience, examples of determination. The last 4 years have thrown so much at you, and for those who had any question that you could overcome it, this is a resounding response. You're here with us today, and we could not be prouder. And I want to also say thank you to your families, to your friends, your supporters, the faculty, the staff, all the people that have traveled with you through this journey and have made it possible. I think they deserve a round of applause. And last but not least, thank you to you, the students. We've learned so much from you over the last 4 years. You've made so many contributions in the classroom, outside of the classroom, in our communities, in the world. And we will never be able to repay you for everything that you've done for us. You've made Clark a better place, and you made us better people. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you've done for us. And now, we will now award our honorary degree recipients, followed by this year's commencement address. Please welcome to the podium Marcel Zahn.
So our first honorary degree recipient is Sean B. Carroll. Presenting him will be Neva Meyer, Associate Professor of Biology.
Now? Yes. I do have a PhD, no. Mr. President, I have the great honor of presenting an award-winning author, Emmy-winning producer, and educational leader who has been called the greatest science storyteller of our time, Dr. Sean B. Carroll. Dr. Carroll is the Andrew and Mary Balow and Nicholas and Susan Simon Endowed Chair at the University of Maryland. Dr. Carroll, as an evolutionary developmental biologist, your pioneering research has centered on the genes that control animal body patterns and play major roles in the evolution of animal diversity. But you know instinctively that even the most essential research can go undiscovered and underappreciated unless a broader understanding of it can be achieved. You have conquered this challenge by mastering the art of communicating complex concepts to a wide audience, in books and through film, in ways that bring needed context and clarity to important scientific explorations and breakthroughs. Yours is a rare but imperative gift among scientists. In your books, you ask us to accompany you as you journey into the unseen universe of molecular genetics, piece together the biological scaffolding of the animal kingdom, and breach the limits of accepted knowledge to consider the profound questions surrounding the origins of life. With clear and deft prose, you afford us access to the evolution of the beautiful and fragile forms that populate our natural world and urge us to ponder our place among them. As an executive producer on the Emmy-winning documentary, Voyager, you have taken us into deep space where the two Voyager probes are transmitting critical information about distant planets. In the Oscar-nominated film, All That Breathes, which you also executive produced, you follow two brothers in New Delhi who operate a makeshift hospital in their tiny basement, where they treat ailing birds who daily drop into the streets from smog-choked skies. Your book and film, Serengeti Rules, upends common perceptions about nature and offers new hope for restoring our world. Dr. Carroll, your stories compel and challenge. They inform and warn, and we are grateful that you are telling them. Mr. President, on behalf of the trustees, faculty, students, and staff at Clark University, it gives me great pleasure to request that the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, be conferred upon Sean B. Carroll.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I present you with the diploma and hood of Clark University and warmly welcome you into the company of alumni who challenge convention and change our world. Congratulations.
Our second honorary degree recipient is Akiko Iwasaki. Presenting her will be Nathan Algren, Associate Professor of Biology.
Mr. President, I have the great honor of presenting Dr. Akiko Iwasaki, the Sterling Professor of Immunobiology at Yale University School of Medicine, Principal Investigator at the Howard Hughes Institute, and one of Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People of 2024. Yes, it's impressive. Dr. Iwasaki, as a scientist who focuses on the mechanisms of immune defense against viruses at mucosal surfaces, your research has been essential to advancing the understanding of immune responses in the human body and how to best prevent transmission of viral and bacterial pathogens that are responsible for a host of debilitating illnesses. During the COVID-19 pandemic, a time fraught with fear, uncertainty, and speculation, you provided us with evidence, reason, and clarity. You were a warrior in a lab coat, working relentlessly to identify key immunopathological mechanisms underlying severe COVID and elucidating sex differences in the immune response of the virus. Your research and public health advocacy helped inform the strategies for mitigating COVID's most virulent impacts and equipped us with essential information to reduce our own levels of risk. Your important work in this area continues. As co-lead investigator of the Yale COVID-19 recovery study, you aim to determine the changes in the immune response of people with long COVID after vaccination. You also lead multiple other studies to investigate the pathobiology of long COVID, which serves as an insistent reminder to us all that for many, the virus's disruptive legacy persists. Dr. Iwasaki, you are a champion of women in science, noting the, quote, veil of unconscious bias, unquote, that often hinders women's progress in STEM fields. Your vocal advocacy for equality of opportunity, strong mentorship programs, and fundamental changes to academic infrastructure promotes a more inclusive environment, not only for women, but also for scientists from underrepresented communities. This totality of your influence is widely and deeply felt. Mr. President, on behalf of the trustees, faculty, students, and staff at Clark University, it gives me great pleasure to request that the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa be conferred upon Dr. Akiko Iwasaki.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I present you with the diploma and hood of Clark University and warmly welcome you into the company of alumni who challenge convention and change our world. Congratulations.
I'm pleased to introduce Rinku Roy Chaudhary, Professor of Geography, who will formally present Robert Bullard. Oh, sorry. Our third honorary degree recipient is Michael Nishan. Presenting him will be Nancy Julian, 86, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees.
Mr. President, I have the great honor of presenting an individual whose life's work has been all about eating well, Michel Nischan. Mr. Nischan is a James Beard award-winning chef, co-founder and executive chairman of Wholesome Wave, founder and CEO of Wholesome Crave, and guest and advisor to presidents on the urgency of making healthy foods available to everyone, regardless of race, age, ethnicity, income, or location. Mr. Nischan, you developed a deep appreciation for local, organic, sustainable agriculture from childhood when your family cultivated a miniature backyard farm in your hometown of Evanston, Illinois. As a professional chef and advocate for a more healthful and sustainable food future, you continually built on those childhood values to catalyze change in the inefficient and wasteful local and regional food systems that kept too many unfed and undernourished. You have done so despite meeting early resistance from agricultural interests that saw little value in your quest to fill tables respectfully, equitably, and compassionately. In 2007, you co-founded Wholesome Wave, a national nonprofit established on the belief that choosing healthy food is a fundamental right for everyone, and you were honored by the James Beard Foundation as the 2015 Humanitarian of the Year for this groundbreaking work. You have also regularly testified in both houses of Congress and were a White House guest during the Bush, Obama, and Biden administrations. As a stakeholder member of the Biden-Harris transition team, you were invited to participate in the White House Conference on Hunger, Health, and Nutrition. Mr. Nischan, in 2019, you founded Wholesome Crave, a plant-based food company that devotes a percentage of gross revenue to support Wholesome Wave's groundbreaking work toward meaningful systems change. Named a Lifetime Ashoka Fellow in 2010, you have diligently and creatively worked to mesh the demand among low-income Americans for healthy, locally grown foods with the kind of affordable pricing that makes securing these fresh, nutritious foods a daily reality. Mr. Nischan, as a chef of the highest order, you have served many an inspiring meal, and as an advocate for a healthier and more just food system, you elevate us all by serving the greatest good. Mr. President, on behalf of the trustees, faculty, students, and staff at Clark University, it gives me great pleasure to request that the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, be conferred upon Michel Nischan.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I present you with the diploma and hood of Clark University, and I warmly welcome you into the company of alumni who challenge convention and change our world. Congratulations.
I'm pleased to introduce Rinku Roy Chaudhary, Professor of Geography, who will formally present Robert Bullard for the degree of Doctor of Human Letters. Unfortunately, we regret to inform you that Dr. Bullard is unable to join us due to an illness. Will present his work in absentia, and Dr. Roy Chaudhary will deliver his remark.
Mr. President, I have the great honor of presenting in absentia the widely acclaimed scholar known as the father of environmental justice, whose pioneering research has transformed our understanding of how the degradation of our natural world disproportionately impacts communities of color, Dr. Robert D. Bullard. Dr. Bullard is the Distinguished Professor of Urban Planning and Environmental Policy at Texas Southern University, the founder and director of the Bullard Center for Environmental and Climate Justice, an author and an activist. Dr. Bullard, your journey to the upper echelons of academia and social environmental policy began in a small Alabama town that routinely denied Black neighborhoods access to municipal services like sewers, streetlights, and paved roads. You never forgot the hard lessons of your youth. In your seminal 1990 book, Dumping in Dixie, described in the New York Times as the Environmental Justice Bible, you exposed how industry and government have long acted in tandem to perpetuate a system where the pollution of the air, water, and soil by the siting of toxic waste facilities and landfills burdens communities with high percentages of poor, elderly, young, and minority residents. Inspired by your hero, the writer and civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois, you became a champion for the disenfranchised, the voiceless, and the vulnerable, creating a movement that has fought against the literal poisoning of Black and brown bodies by corporate interests. You've taken that fight into the courts and the classrooms, onto the streets, and inside the corridors of power, where your insistent and eloquent advocacy helped convince President Bill Clinton to sign the Environmental Justice Executive Order. In 2021, you earned an appointment by President Joe Biden to the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council. And in 2022, $60 billion were earmarked in the historic climate spending bill to ensure equal environmental protections for all, the cause to which you have dedicated your life. Dr. Bullard, you once told an interviewer, you can be a scholar and an activist, and you can do something to make change. Indeed, you awakened us to the environmental injustices hiding in plain sight and challenged us as a country, as humans, to do better and be better. Thanks to your enduring scholarship and tireless activism, change has come. Mr. President, on behalf of the trustees, faculty, students, and staff at Clark University, it gives me great pleasure to request that the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, be conferred upon Dr. Robert D. Bullard.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you, in absentia, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I present you with a diploma of Clark University and warmly welcome you to the company of alumni who challenge convention and change our world. Congratulations and best wishes for a speedy recovery.
Thank you once again. Thank you once again, President Fithian. I admit I never once imagined I would be delivering an address for Dr. Bullard. Like so many others who work in the fields of human-environment interactions, geography, and other disciplines, and with Indigenous communities, marginalized people, and environments, I hold Dr. Bullard in the highest esteem. His work is an inspiration, and so many of us here at Clark draw on it for our own research and teaching. So standing here before you to deliver his remarks is both an intimidating prospect and a tremendous honor. Of course, I wish the circumstances were different and wish Dr. Bullard a speedy recovery. Now, in his words, greetings to President Fithian, esteemed faculty, trustees, honorees, and to each of the graduates of the class of 2024 and their families, friends, loved ones, and supporters. A huge shout out of congratulations, you did it. I'm thrilled and honored to be your commencement speaker today and to receive an honorary doctorate at Clark University's 120th commencement. Thank you. Class of 2024, this is your day, a day of jubilation, a day of celebration. This day is about you overcoming adversity and making it to this commencement. With the help of your family and supporters, despite the obstacles, including the terrible years of COVID-19, the worst pandemic in our lifetime. You not only survived, you also thrived. Proof positive because you are here today and looking super fantastic. Please enjoy and celebrate with family, loved ones, colleagues, mentors, and friends, knowing you worked long and hard. However, I am reminded of the instructions I received regarding my commencement speech. I was asked to speak for about 15 minutes. I said, I can do that, but remember, I'm a college professor and talking is what we do for a living. I was also asked to make my remarks inspiring. I will try my very best. But I'm happy to confess the shoe is on the other foot. Students, young people, you inspire me. It is your youthful spirit for changing the world in which we live that has kept me going these many decades. Yes, one person can make a difference. I want to give a special thanks and shout out to Melissa Lynch, class of 1995 here at Clark, who did an interview with me and wrote an excellent article in Clark Now by that same title. One person can make a difference. I am a proud boomer, but these days, Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z, or Zoomers, combined far outnumber my generation. I received the Time Earth Award at a ceremony in New York City last month. Time asked me to write a letter to the next generation of environmental justice leaders. That article is in Time Earth Month issue that has Jane Fonda on the cover. Part of this commencement speech is taken from that letter because from where I stand or sit, I am speaking to the same audience, young people and students, the generations X, Y, and Z. this important new majority. You have the numbers, and now you have the education. And we boomers working collaboratively and intergenerationally can help you develop the knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and power to make the transformative change that's needed in our society and in the world today. Every successful progressive social movement in the United States has had strong, fearless, and dedicated young people and students leading the way and pushing hard at the front and pressing for justice now rather than justice delayed. And as history has shown us, justice delayed is justice denied. This holds true in the modern movements for civil rights, voting rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, anti-war and peace, and the quest for environmental and climate justice and human rights and rights of self-determination of Palestinians and Israelis alike, and the right to live in peace. Today, college students across the nation are protesting, speaking up, and sending a powerful moral message condemning the injustices happening to innocent people in Gaza and the horrors inflicted by Hamas in Israel. It's important that our justice messages and peaceful protests not get hijacked or diverted from the main quest, justice for all. We are powerful and unstoppable when we work together. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in a March 31st, 1968 speech given at the National Cathedral stated, "We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Dr. King was assassinated in Memphis the next month on April the 4th, a month before I graduated from Alabama A&M University in Huntsville in May 1968. It was a sad day. They killed the dreamer. Cities were in flames, and it seemed like the country was on fire. As students, we protested, demonstrated, and rallied. We were disappointed that nonviolent protest was met with so much violence and hate. But our movement for justice endured, and each generation has stepped forward to help bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. I am a child of the Jim Crow South. I attended an all-Black elementary, middle, high school, and undergraduate college. I grew up in South Alabama during a period when Southern apartheid was the law of the land, and when Black people were resisting systems that defined them as second-class citizens. Resistance to American apartheid was in the air and stamped in our DNA. I was in the second grade when the US Supreme Court Brown versus the Board of Education case was decided in 1954. I was a third grader when the Montgomery bus boycott kicked off and Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man in 1955. I was a senior in high school when the 1964 Civil Rights Act was signed into law by President Lyndon B. Johnson. During my entire K-12 public schooling in Elba, a small town in South Alabama, Black people were not allowed to enter the white-only public library. I mentioned this cold-blooded fact last month at the Time Earth Awards ceremony in New York because I had a 70-year Back to the Future flashback to decades that reminded me why my parents spent extra money buying us lots of extra reading materials, books, encyclopedias, magazines, including Ebony, Jet, Life, Look, and yes, Time magazine, to supplement the racist education system in Elba that kept Black kids like me out of the public library. Yet, structural barriers placed in our path by the state of Alabama did not keep Black students like me from excelling. It's ironic the racial injustice kept me out of the public library, but the fight for civil rights and education justice allowed my 18 books to grace the shelves of that same library, where I was banned decades earlier. Here's another irony. The University of Alabama Press, a school where I was not allowed to attend in 1964 because I was Black, published my book, In Search of the New South, the Black Urban Experience in the 1970s and 1980s, in 1989. I tell you these war stories of overcoming injustice from the front line because our nation still has a lot of overcoming to do as I speak. Let me be crystal clear about who I am and what I am about. I am unapologetic about taking a frontal assault on systems that oppress. I am Vietnam-era Marine Corps veteran. Hoorah! Still fighting and still standing. I am a warrior for justice and a sociologist, but I tell people jokingly, I don't do dead white man sociology. I do what's scientifically called living kick-ass sociology in the spirit of W.E. Du Bois. In the spirit of W.E. Du Bois, the iconic and most famous kick-ass sociologist, Du Bois proved that you can be an educator, researcher, scholar, author, social critic, and activist all at the same time. Du Bois was a founding member of the NAACP in 1909, the oldest and largest civil rights organization in the country. Du Bois was a powerful role model, one person who made a difference in the field of sociology. It was 7 decades after Du Bois helped start the NAACP that I began my environmental justice work in 1979, before it had a name and before it was a movement. I am an accidental environmentalist who was drafted by my then wife, Linda McKeever Bullard, who in 1979 persuaded me, after lots of arm twisting, to conduct a study in support of Bean versus Southwestern Waste Management Corporation, the nation's first of its kind lawsuit to challenge environmental racism in the siting and permitting of solid waste facilities using civil rights law. Linda developed the legal theory for the case, and my job was to conduct a study to test the theory with empirical data. I completed the study in 1979 and published the findings in several peer-reviewed journals before the case went to trial. The study showed 83% of the solid waste facilities in Houston were located in predominantly Black neighborhoods, even though Black Houstonians made up only 1/4 of the city's population from 1930s to 1978. These were astounding findings, facts, statistics. We lost the lawsuit in federal district court in Houston in 1985, when environmental justice was still a footnote. The outcome of the Bean court case taught me 2 important lessons. First, having the facts is not enough to make change or to win in court. Second, We must marry facts with action to help bend the arc toward justice. And to solve many environmental problems today, we must also solve inequality and dismantle systems that create and perpetuate injustice. In my academic career, I have witnessed 2 historic signings of presidential executive orders on environmental justice. First, in February 1994, by President Bill Clinton in the Oval Office of the White House. And 29 years later, the signing by President Biden in the Rose Garden in April 2023. A lot of change has taken place between these 2 signings. In 1994, there was not a dime designated by Congress for environmental justice. However, in 2023, with the passage of the $369 billion Inflation Reduction Act, over $60 billion was written in for environmental justice, with the potential for getting resources into communities that historically have been left out and left behind. It is heartening to see so many young people and students working on these critical issues without the wedges that would have previously driven us apart. In the next era, my hope is for policy and action to be swift. Climate change does not have 40 more years to wait. Our movement must make room for young people. Our movement needs young visionaries, for without vision, the people will perish. Young people, you are valued. The quest for environmental justice is an ongoing marathon relay. You run your 26.2 miles, and then the next generation begin their leg of the race. I am driven by, and I'm happy to be able to pass the baton to, the up-and-coming generations of environmental justice advocates who will continue with the same resilience that so many involved in the journey have already shown. My long journey to justice is not over. 9 months ago, I received a surprise phone call for me to come home to Elba to help the historically Black Shiloh community fight a federally funded highway project. A dirt road was expanded to 4 lanes and elevated more than 10 feet above the community, placing the Shiloh community in a bowl. I had not been home in nearly 40 years. I knew this was a serious and real situation because the home folks called me Bobby, not Dr. Bullard, a nickname I grew up with in small-town Elba. Black landowners, like my family, have owned land in Shiloh since Reconstruction. The highway has been flooding residents' homes and property since 2018. It's also stealing generations of transformative wealth. This type of infrastructure racism was documented in my book, Highway Robbery, Transportation Racism and New Routes to Equity, written in 2004. I don't usually make New Year's resolutions, but I promised the Shiloh community on December 31st, 2023, that I would help make 2024 the year Shiloh gets justice. I'm hopeful and I have faith we will eradicate the types of injustice I have spent the better part of my life fighting. However, as my wise old grandmother would say, faith without work is dead. Our environmental and climate justice movement is a live movement. We must work harder. Our future and the future of the planet is in our hands, but we must act and act now with justice at the center. I challenge the class of 2024 to run the best marathon relay race of your life. Run it as if your life and your nation depended on it, because in many ways it does. Thank you. and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Bullard, and thank you, Professor Roy Chowdhury. It is now my pleasure to introduce Marshallee Ellis Kellum, who has devoted her life to the celebration of her deep faith in God through song. Marshallee's music ministry has been emerging over the past 10 years on the local and regional scene and is now emerging onto the national and international stage, with her music being embraced by radio stations in Canada, Australia, the UK, Poland, and countries across Africa. In 2021, her song Follow was picked up by SiriusXM's Kurt Franklin's Praise, hitting the top 10 on the Billboard Gospel Indicator chart. Marshallee is a constant presence with the White House National Day of Prayer initiative that takes place annually in Washington, D.C. on the Ellipse. Here at home, Marshallee is an active member of the Greater Framingham Community Church and a dear friend of Clark University. I couldn't be happier that she accepted my invitation to be part of today's celebration and will now be performing the first of 2 secular song selections. Please join me in welcoming Marshallee.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when you get the choice to sit it out, oh damn, tell me what you're gonna do. Spend, I hope you dance. Come on, you're too quiet out there, guys. What you gonna do? Dance. I hope you dance. Yeah. I hope you never fear those mountains in the distance. dance. Tell me what you're gonna do. Dance. I hope you dance. Forget your fears and dance. Dance. Go for it. Oh, I hope you dance. Don't hold back. Dance. I hope you dance. 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 I hope you dance. Dance. Go for it. Yeah. Dance.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Williams, the chair of the faculty and professor of political science. Let me begin by saying on behalf of the Clark faculty, big congratulations to you, whether you're receiving your bachelor's, master's, or doctorate today. This is a very big deal. I would like to make a couple of points that I hope you will take away with you today. Fundamentally, Clark's mission, quote, is to educate undergraduate and graduate students to be imaginative and contributing citizens of the world, and to advance the frontiers of knowledge and understanding through rigorous scholarship and creative effort. And the commitment to excellence in studying traditional academic disciplines, as well as innovation and exploring questions across disciplinary boundaries. The free pursuit of inquiry and the free exchange of ideas are central to that commitment. And Clark's motto, challenge convention, change our world, which we take very seriously here. Whether through student research presentations at Clark Fest and the annual Graduate Student Multidisciplinary Conference, or through student activism and engagement, such as the Student Mentors of the All Kinds of Growth program, working with Worcester children ages 9 to 16, and the annual Worcester Model UN Conference for grades 6 through 12 that is hosted by Clark's Model UN Club. Or the research and creative work that professors engage in that challenges the conventional wisdom in their disciplines, or about a commitment to the liberal arts and a liberal education that develops important skills necessary for democracy and civic engagement, written and oral communication, critical thinking, problem solving, and qualitative and quantitative analysis. To quote the Association of American Colleges and Universities, liberal education does not end at graduation. Instead, it fully commences then. Liberally educated graduates are poised to take their skills and proficiencies to even higher levels through practiced application at what will most certainly be highly varied work lives, to pursue their commitment to social justice as global citizens and community, to continue the project of becoming ever more fully human through ongoing engagement with art and culture, to be at ease in a world increasingly shaped by scientific discovery and rapid technological innovation, and to play their part in sustaining democracy, end quote. A liberal education facilitates curiosity. In the words of filmmaker James Cameron, quote, "Curiosity is the most powerful thing you own." And relatedly, a liberal education encourages intellectual humility, which, quote, involves recognizing that there are gaps in one's knowledge and that one's current beliefs might be incorrect. I hope that we, the faculty, have supported and encouraged your curiosity about the world around you, as well as your intellectual humility. In reflecting on your time at Clark, what gaps in your knowledge did you fill in your various courses? What gaps in your knowledge still remain? We hope that your Clark education has emboldened you to remain lifelong learners, no matter what the future holds for you, to remain curious and intellectually humble. You will embark on many new and exciting adventures, a life ahead full of possibilities and promise. Importantly, you are privileged to have received an education in a world of 8 billion people, most of whom will never have such an opportunity. And with this education comes a responsibility to yourself, to your family and friends, and the world around you towards a meaningful and productive life. The old cliche holds true: life isn't a dress rehearsal. In fulfilling this responsibility, please remember the role that Clark played in that education. Please stay engaged with the university. Be sure to stay in touch and let us know how you're doing in the years that follow. We want to hear from you. And in closing, I'd like to leave you with 3 quotes. First, First Lady and activist Eleanor Roosevelt. In the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die, and the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility. Second, the American poet Muriel Strode. I will not follow where the path may lead, but I will go where there is no path, and I will leave a trail. And third, I Googled graduation jokes. And this is what came up. Quote, "The tassel was worth the hassle." So again, on behalf of the faculty, congratulations to you, the entire Clark graduating class of 2024.
Thank you, Professor Williams. With great pleasure, and in the favoring presence of those assembled, we now turn to the process of conferring Doctor of Philosophy, Master's, and Baccalaureate degrees.
Will all the candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy please rise and be recognized?
President Fithian, on behalf of Clark University, I have the honor to present the candidates for and recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. I declare that each candidate has fulfilled all the requirements of the university for the degree, including, as appropriate, an acceptable dissertation, and request that the degree be conferred upon each of them.
By virtue of the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the doctoral degrees as indicated, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I welcome you to the ancient and honorable company of scholars. Congratulations. Woo!
Graduates, you may now be seated. Will all the candidates for all master's degree please rise and be recognized?
President Fithian, on behalf of Clark University, I have the honor to present the candidates for and recent recipients of the master's degree awarded through the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, the Graduate School of Professional Studies, the Becker School of Design and Technology, and the School of Management. I declare that each candidate has fulfilled all the requirements of the university for the degree and request that the degree be conferred upon each of them.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the master's degrees as indicated, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. And I express the hope that your learning will lead you to advance knowledge in or enrich the practice of your chosen field. Congratulations.
Graduate, you may now be seated. Will all the candidates for all baccalaureate degree please rise and be recognized?
President Fithian, on behalf of Clark University, I have the honor to present the candidates for and recent recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. I declare that each candidate has fulfilled all the requirements of the university for the degree and request that the degree be conferred upon each of them.
By virtue of the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the baccalaureate degrees as indicated, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. I express the hope that this, your first degree, will inspire a lifetime of learning. Congratulations.
Graduates, you may now turn your tassel from right to left. Graduates, you may now be seated.
Good morning. My name is John Labrie. I am the Dean and Associate Provost for Graduate Studies and International Programming. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy please come forward? Provost Royo, on behalf of the Departments of Biology, Biochemistry, Chemistry, Economics, Geography, Physics, Psychology, and the Graduate Board, I have the honor to present for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy the following candidates. For Economics, Maxwell Ajiman, hooded by Wayne Gray. For Economics, S.M. Tanvir Ahmed, hooded by Wayne Gray. For Geography, Thomas Belinto, hooded by Robert Pontus. For Economics, Nayantara Biswas, hooded by Wayne Gray. For Biochemistry, Ariani Borges, hooded by Arundhati Nag. For Psychology, Corinne Cabrera, hooded by Kathleen Palm Reed. For Geography, Michael Cecil, hooded by Lyndon Estes. For Economics, Chao Feng, hooded by Wayne Gray. For Geography, Nicholas Guerin, hooded by John Rogan. For Economics, Kusum Hisam, hooded by David Kuberis. For Biology, Un-Mi Yong, hooded by Dennis La Rochelle. For Geography, Sam Kalagi, hooded by Lyndon Estes. For Psychology, Nora Klein, hooded by Kathleen Palm Reed. For chemistry, Wendy Nason, hooded by Louise Smith. For psychology, Sung Mi Park, hooded by Alina Esposito and Ana Camille Martello. For physics, Benjamin Roquet, hooded by Alexander Petrov. For geography, Sarah Sangiovanni, hooded by Deb Martin and James Murphy. For geography, Mara van den Bold, hooded by Karen Fry. For geography, Julia Wagner, hooded by Deb Martin. For biochemistry, Tianyi Yang, hooded by Louise Smith. For physics, Boning Yu, hooded by Michael Boyer.
All right, that was great. Good morning, or perhaps it's noon by now. Good morning, graduates, families, and friends. My name is Betsy Huang, and I'm the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and the Associate Provost for Undergraduate Studies. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce this year's senior speaker for the class of 2024. Each year, the undergraduate and graduate commencement speakers are chosen through a broad and inclusive process, a tradition at Clark in which all faculty and students nominate potential speakers as well as members of the selection committee. The selection committee comprises both students and administrators with input from faculty. Our speaker this year exemplifies the well-rounded individual and world citizen that a Clark education cultivates. Her academic achievements span multiple disciplines. She is a biochemistry and molecular biology major and a community, youth, and education studies minor. She was a research assistant in biology Professor David Hibbett's mycology lab for over 2 years, studying a rather interesting mushroom that could have come from a horror movie or the television series The Last of Us. Students like her, Professor Hibbett says, are a big part of why it is so rewarding to be a Clark faculty member. And about her accomplishments in education studies, sustainability and social justice professor Nigel Brissett describes her as a top performer, steadfast in her quest for knowledge. And education professor Kara Berg-Powers praises her for her powerful grace, curiosity, and care for others. Our speaker has also maximized her time outside of the classroom and the lab. She has served 3 years on the Student Council. As president of the Middle Eastern and North African Students Association, as secretary of the Muslim Students Association, and as president of Clark's Pre-Dental Society, not surprising because she is headed to Tufts University's School of Dental Medicine this July. She is also a tireless advocate for food security. She has served as head of shop and restock for the Food Insecurity Resistance Movement's food pantry, and as head of the Hunger and Homelessness campaign for the Massachusetts Public Interest Research Group, working with Woolfridge and Ansar of Worcester to help combat local food insecurity. She cares so deeply about Worcester because she lived in Maine South until the age of 7 and attended schools in this city for much of her life. She is Worcester, and Worcester is her. With all of these accomplishments and commitments, it is no surprise that she is a member of the Fiat Lux Society, one of Clark's 2 senior honor societies. And just last week, she was awarded the university's Student Advocacy Award. I could go on for another 5 minutes about her accolades, but it is time to give the podium over to her. Please join me in a huge applause to welcome your senior class speaker, Layla El Samra.
Thank you, Dean Huang. Good morning, family, friends, faculty, distinguished guests, and the exceptional class of 2024. It is a profound honor to be standing before you today on this momentous occasion. My name is Layla Samra, and I am a proud Muslim Egyptian American from Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. When I sat down to write this speech, I had 2 ideas, either to talk about COVID or about challenging convention and changing our world. Original, right? But reflecting on our past 4 years at Clark, it's almost impossible not to acknowledge the significant impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on our class. As the COVID class in high school, the majority of us never experienced a real graduation. We entered college amidst uncertainty, masked and distanced, with many of our classes held on Zoom. Despite these challenges, we learned to find community, whether in clubs, on sports teams, or bonding over our struggles like in Chem 101. Clark's unique spirit prevailed, fostering resilience and solidarity. Growing up and attending school in Worcester has taught me the profound influence of how community shapes our identity. As we prepare to step into the vastness of the real world, let's not forget the invaluable lessons learned from these communities. Many of us are familiar with the circles of support, starting with the people who are closest to us, our families. For me, my wonderful mom and dad, who have truly given me the world, and my 2 younger siblings. Then our friends and communities, all the way out to the outermost, people all around the world. We are all connected, no matter our beliefs, religions, or race. As I stand before you today as a student activist celebrating this moment and surrounded by community, I cannot help but reflect on those who have had that privilege taken from them, and on the fact that there are no universities left in Gaza. I am reminded to be appreciative of all the opportunities I've had, and that I have a duty before God to not squander those opportunities, but to use them to leave an impact. Our futures are deeply and innately intertwined with those who we share the earth with, and what we owe ourselves and others is compassion and empathy to drive forward positive change. When we look at our support circles, it's easy to ask, how are those around me helping me become who I want to be? The continuous encouragement we receive from others along the way, no matter how small, has helped shape us and get us to our destinations. But have we ever wondered what kind of impact the support we give to others has on them? It may seem daunting to think about how influential our simple actions may be, and in a world of endless problems, that's a surefire way to burn out. But in the words of Malcolm Bain, if you wait until you can do everything for everyone instead of doing something for someone, you'll end up not doing anything for anybody. Start small, maybe just one good deed a day. Together, we possess the compassion, resilience, and determination needed to create a brighter future for ourselves and those around us. But even these small deeds can be difficult to perform if we constantly look ahead, breaths held for what comes next. In navigating the academic landscape, I've come to deeply value the importance of living in the moment. As I eagerly anticipated this day, I realized that my time at Clark has held some of my most cherished memories. Whether it was the mesmerizing performances at Gala, vending and strolling through the Wednesday pop-ups, or simply immersing myself in a few hours of peaceful creativity at the craft studio, Clark has provided the perfect environment for creative expression to thrive. I used to be so fixated on what lay ahead until I lost 2 of my grandparents this past fall. Losing a loved one changes our perspective on life, and it made me realize that this is it. Most of us have lost someone and know of this feeling. This is our only chance at life, so we should make the most of it. We all know these cliches on paper, but it's living them that's the hard part. I often find myself reflecting, what kind of life do I want to live? But then I remember, Layla, this is your life. Get off of your phone and go do something. Very Gen X of me, I know. Every day is another day that will add up until we look back and big memories like these are just another small square on our endless social media feeds. Reflecting on all the little squares that will make up my life, I want to do something meaningful. My religious tradition teaches us that it's not simply happiness that we seek. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, but rather it's fulfillment. It's living a purpose-driven life that goes beyond maximizing dopamine rushes. Because more often than not, fulfillment involves sacrificing temporary happiness for something greater than ourselves. It means waking up early on a Sunday to stock the school pantry. It means risking your college degree in your last year to speak up against genocide. It means ordinary folks organizing, sacrificing, speaking truth to power, and uplifting those whose voices we cannot hear. Seeking fulfillment is what encouraged me to embrace the uncomfortable opportunities, because real growth lies at the intersection of discomfort and challenge. As the class of 2024, we found our voice in supporting movements like Black Lives Matter, grad student rights, and even passing a referendum to encourage our university's divestment from practices abroad that do not align with its values. We are the generation of change makers, and as much as we may try to escape those 5 words, we are the ones who will challenge convention and change our world. As we transition into the next phase of our lives, let Worcester serve as a testament to the value of diversity and the beauty of our common human experience. Let us celebrate not only our academic achievements, but also the circles of connections that have molded us into the remarkable individuals we are today. Embrace the challenge of shaping a world where every voice is heard, every life is valued, and every dream is within reach. Congratulations, class of 2024. We made it. And one last thing. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laya. Thank you very much, Laya. We ask that the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science please come forward.
Wait. Yeah.
Are we ready? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Emily J. Abney.
Kobe Rosenzweig.
Mohammed Abalif.
Emma Owen Lockwood.
Aiden Lewis Achilles.
Sarah Luby.
Pablo Enrique Acosta Ortiz.
Antonia Lopez.
Amira A. Aderbig.
Nicholas Settler Lord.
Amal Halima Ahmed.
JC Lowe.
Estefania M. Alicia.
Aaron Liu.
Tuka Amer.
Benson Luddy Dunn.
Ethan C. Anderson.
Brenna Lutsky.
Peter M. Angotti.
Annie Elizabeth Sharp Macbeth.
Colin Jarrett Anthony.
David McRae.
Alua Fei Shiriore Olainka Apampa.
Taylor Mahoney.
Isabel B. Apia.
Agnolo Macatiani.
Gwendolyn E. Arbitman.
Miles Malone.
Mariana Isabel Areces Criado.
Nathaniel Joseph Monfra.
Duncan Constantine William Armstrong.
Zoe Vasi Marinakis.
Thomas Richardson Atwood Jr.
Jillian Martin.
Cecilia K. Bacana.
Sarah J. Martin.
Olivia Ann Bandola.
Antonia Nefeli Martins.
Carolina Barabash.
Alexander Massaro.
Joshua Michael Barbado.
Shanae Miriam Massimi.
Liliana M. Barco.
Christopher Mattarelli.
Hannah Barr.
Kaylee Matos.
Everett Timothy Beals.
Rebecca Renee Morrow.
Natalie V. Beck.
Cassandra June Mayer.
Shayla L. Bellica.
Clara Maisie.
Saba R. Belkadi.
Gruyere Elizabeth Martha McCarthy.
Ryan Berg Lazarus.
Oliver McCormick.
Gregory Francis Bernier.
Ella McCullough.
Alexander Vincent Bielecki.
William Casey McCullough.
Bianca Chloe Binns.
Allie Catherine McDonald.
Shraddha Bertica.
Sean Emerson McDowell.
Julia Vaughn Blair.
Claire McGrath.
Jasmine Blanco Zapata.
Rory McHugh.
Syria Gianna Bland.
Allie McKernan.
Katarina Bogart.
Keegan McMahon.
Faith A. Bouquet.
Zoleka Margaret Medbo.
Brian P. Bonzik.
Dahlia Melagoris.
Riza Bonifaz.
Braxton J. Miller.
Angela Marie Borelli.
Moses Millman.
Samantha Lynn Bosque.
Matthew Minkwitz.
Natalia Botero.
Theodore Mitterrando.
Robin Bozick.
Brenna Moore.
Philip Edward Brainin.
Ellie Mutavario.
Leo Merlin Braun.
Miranda G. Nemioka.
Ruth Y. Bryan.
Adlai Nelson.
Tyler Donald Broderick.
DeAndre Nemhard.
William H. Brown.
Jacob P. Newman.
Nasia Antonina Bykov Newry.
Christina Lei Wen.
Anna Elizabeth Camfield.
Hugh Quan Wang.
Adam Paul Campbell.
Samuel Norton.
Alicia Hyacinth Campbell.
Besma Noor Hussein.
Courtney Brooke Campbell.
Claudia Elizabeth O'Cleef.
Darlene Tiffany Campos.
Michael Kevin O'Brien.
Jasper Perseus Carlton.
Matthew O'Connell Vale.
Lindsay T. Carlson.
Emrys Odell.
Nina Carlson.
Grace Oakers.
Jackson S. Carroll.
Rachel O'Hearn.
Olivia G. Costanza Leisure.
Sophie Ola.
Rebecca Kayla Caswell Shaham.
Bronwyn Honora O'Neill.
Dea Sinoli.
Sophia Omen Lochtefel.
Biina Chaparian.
Nicole Catherine Overbaugh.
Dawn Chidima Chingagorum Abiakalam.
Amrita Pai.
Tamid Khaled Childry.
Baron Polmeri.
Ksenia Chudakova.
Aniket Pandey.
Raven Kenneth Clarico.
Landon Parr.
Jonah R. Clark.
John Gregory Parrish.
Tetra Catmarie Hood.
Sarah Parrish.
Emily C. Clark.
Victoria Del Mar Pastor Osorio.
Heath Caldwell Coburn.
Angela Patrick.
Angela Paulina Coelho.
Christopher Paula.
Phoebe S. Cohen.
Paloma Lucia Morales Pellegrino.
Ramon E. Colon Colon.
Valeria Pereiro Zambrano.
Benjamin M. Colson.
Elena Perez Ramirez.
Maya R. Cooney.
Jens Peterson.
Samuel Jonathan Cooper.
Nicholas Keith Phelps.
Zachary Thomas Cooper.
Olivier Pierre.
Olivia R. Cormier.
Isabella G. Podaska.
Cecilia K. Cortez.
Alexandra Polinsky.
Sabella C. County.
Nicholas Koloje Pontios.
Adam Krellin Sazama.
Katarina Potorocha.
Alexia Cronin.
Gayani Pradhan Wong Aswi.
Samantha Nicole Crowley.
Avram Pritikin.
Anne E. Colhane Williams.
Donovan Price.
Anya G. Cunningham.
Sadie Grace Price Elliott.
Aaron Aiden Kushney.
Paige Alexa Prim.
Jacob Alexander Cherapika.
Shehirong Kwan.
Jacqueline Corinne Daggett.
Raven Quirk.
Jason M. Dancero.
Eddie Jose Ramon.
Julia C. Dantzler.
Benjamin Asher Ransair Gordon.
Peyton R. Dolly.
Mason Rashi.
Mia Ayana Davis.
Sonara Ray Tunis.
Dasan H. De Silva.
Charlie Renhart.
Evelyn Jadari De Leon.
Nicholas Cooper Resnick.
Baram Sanjay Desai.
Joseph Andrew Ressler.
Bella De Chiara.
Henry Reyes.
Rory Sumner Dickinson.
Abigail Jo Rhodes.
Julianne Dillon.
Catherine Ann Rich.
Andrew D. DiStefano.
Jordan Richard.
Parker L. Dorr.
Thacker Fox Richard.
Catherine Elizabeth Domenici.
Brendan Tyler Richardson.
Christopher James Demizio.
Giancarlo Richardson Vallenas.
Brian Theodore Donahue.
Jeffrey Rivard.
Grace Ellen Dowling.
Natasha Rivas.
Ethan Vincent Doyle.
Axel Revo.
Allison Grace Dunphy.
Bennett Cyr Rodriguez.
Raghav Dwivedi.
Giovanna Rodriguez.
Amanda G. Dye.
Lev Roland Cab.
Olivia Eccleston Murdoch.
Rachel Susan Romaine.
Timothy Lane Egley.
Andrew Romano.
Ethan Gabriel El-Hamami.
Callie Rose Ronan.
Zoe Ellingwood.
Emily Dabrowski Rooney.
Layla El Samra.
Emily Rosenbaum.
Megan E. Engstrom.
Maxwell H. Rosenfeld.
Eduardo Escobedo.
Hannah Zoe Ross.
Anthony Theodore Henri Fanton.
Shannon Lockwood Ross.
Samuel H. Farrell.
Sage Mikal Ruas.
Jacqueline A. C. Feliz.
Jeremy G. Ruben Thomas.
Dana G. Faust.
Eleanor M. Rufer.
Quinn Owen Fay.
Robert Francisco Ruiz.
Rory J. Fain.
Waverly Sage Rumeri.
Seth Anthony Resendez Ferreira.
Duncan Moses Russell Onally.
Kai Atlas Ferrick.
Hannah Grace Russo.
Fitz Z.
Minatola Yasser Subri.
Hallie Fleming.
Christina Isabella Santo.
Annika Ray Fleck.
Nayama Safati Miguel.
Rainer Camille Fleury.
Olena Mikan Schatzabel.
Elizabeth K. Fontana.
William Dalton Schechter.
Natasha W. Francisco.
Connor Peter Schenk.
David Shamir Franzine.
Sophia Cristina Sherry Del Llano.
Dawn M. Friedline.
Bailey Shearing.
Sophia Rose Friedman.
Eddie Schwartz.
Sasha I. Gannon.
Kevin Scott.
Woody Garrigan.
Jonah Skadair Weiss.
Maura Grace Rose Gagan.
Melissa Seidemann.
Naomi George Edward.
Leo Sweet Seidman.
Corey J. Gianelli.
Ferretti Josephine Senset.
Kaylee Elizabeth Gibbons.
Victoria G. Sergeant.
Laura M. Gill.
Diana Shalimuva.
Maxwell James Gitlin.
Anya Sheehan.
Shayna M. Goddard.
Micah Sheriff.
Megan E. Gone.
Owen Lyons Shiflett.
Gwendolyn B. Grabarek.
Kian Jane Shu.
Owimana Grace.
William Sitnick.
Eleanor Mercedes Grady.
Ksenia Smart.
Claire Virginia Grant.
Donise Murray Smith.
Darius Frank Groslees.
Leah Smith.
Mary Leanne Green.
Mortrea C. Smith.
Eleanor Natasha Grigg Schoenberg.
Luke Snodgrass.
Saul Grijalva.
Grace Swords.
Hadwin Elizabeth Gross.
Nat Solomon.
Sydney Hathaway Granero.
Lauren F. Solsak.
Chen Yue Guo.
Isabel Sona Ben.
Sophie Jean Gus.
Gwen Sonnevelt.
Catherine Sweetser Hackett.
Caroline Robert Sinclair Southall.
Juliana Hall.
Kaylee Kaylee L. Sousa.
Jeremy E. Halam Baker.
Maxwell H. Spicer.
Isabel M. Hammond.
Jess Spickler.
Emily Tanya Hance.
Marcus Stackhouse.
Brennan M. Hare.
Carolyn Suzanne Steffens.
Eve Belanoff Harmon.
Emily Jane Steiger.
Mariah Sare Harris.
Madeline Steigerman.
Dukilda Hasalari.
Ruth S. Stein.
Sophia Hayes.
Danielle Raymond Stevens.
Catherine Eileen Healy.
Lane A. Stevens.
Thea R. Henry.
Ava Strickman.
Arsema Hindaya.
Leon Rowan Sturham.
Emily Rose Hogue.
Luz Suarez Caton Triba.
Sierra Emily Holmgren Lee.
Billy Sullivan.
Eleanor Dora Holt.
Lucia Spila.
Emma Patricia Chu Holt.
Useni Sarah Taka.
Toby H. Holt.
Taya Tain.
Tanner William Honeff.
Khan Tafik Tat.
Colin Joseph Howard.
Jason Tautel.
Jude R. Hubbs.
Ryan Taylor.
Eliza Rose Humphrey.
Lucas Tudesco.
Joveria Z. Hussein.
Audrey Margaret Lane Temple.
Rana Ismail.
Griffin Temple.
Evelyn June Ivory.
Lily A. Tenberg.
Sophie Jacobson Carroll.
Cassandra Ning Samol Toch.
Ryle Moon.
Rebecca P. Thoreau.
Angel John Laurent.
Roanlis Naomi Toribio Jimenez.
Orly Vimbiso Jiranyama.
Alexander R. Tozen.
Gabriel Eduardo Jimenez Rosa.
Joseph Henry Tramontosi.
Claire Elizabeth Johnston.
Flora F. Trost.
William Ryan Johnston.
Victoria Jeremez.
Sadie Anna Kane.
Jason Malcolm Hugles.
Justine Gabrielle Blas Katigbak.
Yasmina Shanti Fafei.
Theodore M. Katzman.
Scott Robert Vagnini.
Alex Zedzi Kawa.
Ella Shea Van Dyke.
Sean Thomas Keene.
Peyton Van Dusen.
Aiden Bray Keefe.
Clarissa Verona Siren.
Kellyanne Marie M. Keevan.
Lorenza Yamilet Vallatoro.
Elisha Kelly.
Theodore Vloktruzits.
Allison C. Kennedy.
Emily Vo.
Julia G. Kennedy.
Kaylin K. Vonher.
Katie T. Kerrigan.
Jake David Wagnowski.
Sarah A. Kirsting Mum.
Anna Liberty Walker.
Molly R. Kessler.
Noel Luis Walker.
Aaron Lee Kilcoyne.
Alex Walls.
Madeline Woodward King.
Isabella Claire Lopez Walters.
Rebecca Joan King.
Ito Wang.
Zia Chacon Kirkland.
Emma Uguli.
Brady S. Cook.
Ethan Dorian Wellington.
Jenna H. Klimaszewski.
Angel Palmer White.
Caleb Dwight Volpe Clutchman.
Elizabeth Jin White.
Layla Shirley Knight.
Sky Withlow.
Philip Kostich.
Jeremy Lee Whitman Kinghorn.
Zangir Kozak Mietov.
Kieran Elizabeth Wild.
Tasilia Kofer.
Olivia Wilkins.
Grace D. Kohanek.
Savannah Renee Willard.
Victoria Kuzma.
Daviana Williams.
Mackenzie Grace Lansiddle.
Grace Ann Williams. Congrats.
Samuel D. Miller Lapowski.
Cheyenne Lucia Williams.
Attilio Joseph Lavecchia.
Abigail Wilson.
Hannah Blair Levinson.
Carrie Wineglass.
Ava Lavin.
David John Witt.
Honeydew Lawless.
Cozy Hadoso Wanoke.
Laura Lintron Hale.
Maxwell Xavier.
Devin Rose Lever.
Tagumi Yamashita.
Charlotte E. Levitt.
Sophie Stein Yarwood.
Carter Lee.
Rebecca Yashar Gershman.
Nora J. Leifer.
Wing Jing Yao.
Artemy Leonov.
Isaac O. York.
Eleonora Lerner.
Miguel Angel Zacarias Pastor.
Patrick T. Liddy.
Elizabeth Zorro.
Janet H. Lim.
Tinghon Zhuang.
Valerie M. Lind.
Yanghao Zhang.
Isabella Maria Liss.
Daniel Wang Zhu.
Eric Litvak Winkler.
Ursula Zia.
Yu Zhe Liu.
Charlotte Zieselman.
Anthony M. Locasto.
Ren Sisser.
Chloe Anella Lockwood.
Hawa Zuo.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please bear with us for this technical difficulty, meaning me. Oh, let's see here. Congratulations, graduates. It is now my honor to welcome back to the stage Marshallie Kellum.
Congratulations, everybody. Woo! Feel free to sing along with me, okay? I hope the days come easy and the moments pass slow, and each road will lead you where you wanna go. And if you're faced with a choice and you have to choose, hope you choose the one that means the most to you. And if one door opens to another door closed, just keep on walking till you find the window. And if it's cold outside, show the world the warmth of your smile. But more than anything, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never need to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish. I hope you never look back, but you never forget the ones who love you in the place you live. I hope you always forgive, but you never regret, and you help somebody every chance you get. Hope you find God's grace in every mistake, and always give more than you take. But more than anything, more than anything, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never need to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish. Yeah, this is my wish. This life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never need to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same thing too. Yeah, this is my wish. Congratulations, everyone.
It is my true honor to introduce our graduate speaker, Gabriel Spendell. Gabe represents the best of being a Clarkey. He is an outstanding student who earned both of his bachelor's and master's of business degrees in 5 years here at Clark. He is a highly motivated and has sought out exceptional opportunities to apply himself and grow outside of the classroom. He is gracious, kind, and supportive. And he is an inspiration to his fellow students, regularly encouraging them to have the confidence in their future and to help shape ours. Tom Harold, Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center at Clark, Professor of the School of Management, and one of Gabe's mentors, perfectly captured Gabe's very special and unique combination of drive, compassion, and innovative spirit. Quote, "Gabe leads with his heart. He is passionate and genuinely cares about people. He talks engagingly with people from all walks of life, which is not only a talent, but it's a foundational key to success of a leader. Gabe will be an invaluable member of any team wherever he goes," end quote. It's not possible for me to capture all of Gabe's accomplishments in a brief introduction, but to name just a few. Gabe was inducted into the Beta Gamma Sigma Fraternity Honor Society, the International Business Honor Society. He co-founded the Clark Consulting Group, a group of graduate students who work together to support small business in the Worcester region. Beyond his efforts on campus, Gabe earned a certification from the Project Management Institute for Predictive, Agile, and Business Analytics, all leading-edge areas of expertise in the world of business today. This year, he served on the School of Management Student Council, his way of contributing to the university that he loves. After a well-deserved vacation, he will be moving to Washington, D.C. to formally join an engineering consulting firm with which he has been interning as an MBA student. Please join me in welcoming Gabriel Spendell.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Wow. Good afternoon, everybody. Believe it or not, there was a point in time when I was convinced I would not choose to go to Clark. Back in the 1980s, my parents met here, fell in love, and graduated class of '89. My reason for not wanting to go to Clark, despite this family history, is what is most ironic of all. I wanted to be different. It did not take long for me to realize that this desire for uniqueness, to challenge convention, is exactly what makes Clark a special place. But that's far from the only thing that makes Clark special to all of us. For one, our faculty and staff truly dedicate their lives to bringing out the best in all of us. Each one of us can remember a time when a professor or administrator has made a specific impact on our lives. Whether that is opening our eyes to a new lens through which to see the world, or letting that due date slide when we were out too late the night before. While writing my address to the student body, I learned of a powerful moment that our previous president, David Angel, used 10 years ago to show the student body's appreciation for the faculty and staff. President Angel asked the student body, and I will ask you all here today, to think of a professor that profoundly impacted your life here at Clark. When I count to 3, I would like all the students to yell out the name of that professor so they know how much they have influenced you. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. We appreciate each and every professor and staff member that has made an impact and look forward to using the education you have given us to influence future generations down the road. Now that we've shown our appreciation for the faculty, I'd like to turn my attention to those who have made every day at Clark a joy, my fellow students. No disrespect to the faculty, but I've always said that you learn twice as much in the hallways as you do in the classroom. Success does not happen in a vacuum. What makes Clark University student body so important to the education here is the profound amount of diversity you can find walking the halls. We cover every corner of the globe. Being a part of a diverse community has taught me so much because it has allowed me to see the world through the lens of other people. Celebrating Diwali, Ganesh Chaturthi, the Chinese New Year, has enriched me in a way that no classroom ever could. Most importantly, through my time on student council, I've seen firsthand the passion that each Clarkie holds. Nothing excites me more than thinking of where that passion will bring each of you as you find your impact in the world. As we all step into this next chapter of our lives, it is important not to forget the values that Clark has taught us. Values of fairness, of sustainability, of fiat lux, bringing light into the world. Throughout my time at Clark, I've been given lots of advice by my mentors, and I'd like to share two pieces with all of the fellow students here today. First comes from Professor Lynch, professor of accounting, who my freshman year at Clark told me, "Become so educated that you are dangerous. Let your education be so impactful that they cannot ignore you." My second piece of wisdom is quoted from Newton D. Baker. "The man who graduates today and stops learning tomorrow is uneducated the day after." This refers to more than just our next degree or certification. This reminds all of us to be humble and learn of the people and places around us every day in order to find our impact. After you leave here today with a diploma in your hand and new thoughts in your head, things will be different. Things may be uncertain. The one thing I encourage you all to do with me in this next chapter of life is to lean in. Lean into unfamiliar situations, into new opportunities, and into the communities we find ourselves in. Often, the best way to challenge convention is to start by challenging yourself. I'd like to take a moment before I wrap up to thank all the people that made my journey at Clark possible. My family, my wonderful girlfriend, my friends, my professors, and the great staff that kept me on track. Without you, I never would have made it this far. I hope everyone celebrates as much as they can today with the people you love because you earned it. Good luck on your future endeavors, and don't forget your alma mater when you make it big. Thank you and congratulations, class of 2024. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Ross, and I serve. Thank you. I serve as the director of the Department of Sustainability and Social Justice. And at this time, will the candidates within the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences please come forward?
Oluwole Olakune Ajayi. Marie-Jean Ishimwe.
Adeline Akansobe.
Laura Jordan.
Teresa Elizabeth Rosie Allen.
Raquel Georgie Fernandez.
Andreza Ferreira Andrade.
Lily Mann Kaplan.
Alana Paige Andrioli.
Pomelpreet Kaur.
Jason Porter Andrews.
Isabel Kelly.
Zoe Isabel Armstrong.
Ariana Kennedy.
Hafsa Asif.
Liam Richard Sweeney Kennedy.
Kenneth Matthew Baird.
Megan Elizabeth Kennedy.
Arman Bajracharya.
Stephen Kirk.
Sanish Bajracharya.
Aaron Yanquit Kirschenbaum.
Jotsana Basnitz.
Taylor M. LaFlamme.
Cleo Valentine Bate.
Aaron Shea Lawley.
Charlotte Phillips Bedford.
Emery Ann Latender.
Abby Morgan Beilman.
Hanshi Lee.
Melanie Celia Berman.
Elizabeth Haley Liakos.
Isha Bharadwaj.
Siobhan Lounsbury.
Olivia Ann Blaney.
Grace Elizabeth Lucy.
Gijo Essie Boni.
Elizabeth Mann.
Madison Grace Brady.
Emma Ilona Martone.
Amanda Rose Brown.
Luke George Mazer.
Nicole Catherine Buckley.
Ilsa Rebecca McCormick.
Claudia Bushta.
Molly Anne-Marie McDonald.
Richard James Cabral Jr.
Emma Hazel McClellan.
Raina Catherine Clark Carfaro.
Mariah Rose Mitchell Labrie.
Rory Bell Carrera.
Carly Rose Mullen.
Rose Cohen.
Naoya Morishita.
Rachel E. Koski.
Robert F. Mosley.
David Covarrubias.
Benjamin Aaron Mukta.
Abigail Catherine Cravino.
Sydney Nilsson.
Savannah Rose Croft Levin.
Jamuna Prajapati.
Aaron P. Curtis.
August Raymond.
Zachary G. Davis.
Max Lewis Ringgold.
André Luis de Oliveira Dominguez.
John Henry Roach.
Manning Elizabeth Del Coliano.
Jasmine Rotem Planas.
Rose Elizabeth Delogu.
Yu Yun Ron.
Sophie J. Didier.
Ksenia Scahill.
Gabriella Helene DePinto.
Fiona Cecile Scharf.
Emma J. Doan.
Tatiana Sophie Schmid.
Wei Xuan Du.
Chimi Dolker Sherpa.
Lauren Elizabeth Farrell.
Prakriti Shrestha.
Ryan C. Fiasconaro.
Kylie Elizabeth Simmons.
Lucy Bennett Fleming.
Husandeep Singh.
Hannah E. Friend.
Paramdeep Singh,
Swaira Garba,
Cormac Matthew Smith,
Cyril Musungma Gbeli,
Maya Martin Snyder,
Sydney Gibbons,
Ava Joanna Spock,
Cameron Lucille Gill,
Allison Staples,
Brittany Lynn Giroux,
Simone Delilah Stark,
Dennis Godwin,
Monica Stemmerman,
Veronica Apple Goldschultz,
Damian E. Stockley,
Sarah L. Gregory,
Alan Rahim Swai,
Danielle Catherine Hall,
Aaliyah Tang,
Talia Miriam Harlow,
Emma Tyson,
Elliot Harris,
Mariah Ann Fitzgerald Trone,
Adeline Angelica Hebert,
Chloe LeBeau Tomlin,
Margaret Grace Herlihy,
Jessica Rose Vilk,
Hassan Hussein Hersi,
Christina Rose Walcott,
Alexander Pennell Hewis,
Ruth Ann Presley Ward,
Megan Rose Hill,
Finnegan Morgan Wirtz,
Anna Catherine Hodges,
Sarah Jean Wheeler,
Jordan Elizabeth Hawley,
Matthew Thomas Jeffrey Young,
Lauren Hefei Holmes,
and now we will begin the School of Professional Studies.
Sufia Begum Abdul,
One moment.
Will the candidates for master's degree through the School of Professional Studies please come forward?
Sufia Begum Abdul,
Sai Apurv Makhtala,
Zioda Abduvalieva,
Manoj Kumar Malaka,
Rasika Rajesh Abhan,
Isha Malavia,
Christopher C. Ackley,
Anusha Malampati Kama,
Tulika Agardwal,
Girish Reddy Maligireddy,
Mohammed Shafat Asan,
Vijay Virat Maladi,
Dipali Ahuja,
Varshita Manjanath,
Prakar Kumar Ahuja,
Rahul Mane,
Karthik Agaram,
Sri Ramakrishna Marella,
J. Naresh Okilia,
Sai Teja Maridu,
Ritika Ala,
Trivikrama Rao Marineni,
Rupika Reddy Alapuram,
Lakshmi Manasa Marla,
Nivedita Devi Alula,
Ravina Marupudi,
Aaron Alex Almeida,
Renate Lian Mascareñas,
Manashwini Ambati,
Naveen Madaparti,
Venkatesh Ambati,
Alessia Anna Moro,
Eleanor Irene Anderson,
Lila Jane McNamee,
Sandip Kumar Anigimneti Benugopal,
Pavan Chandra Midaramatla,
Tejeswar Yadav Anjameti,
Shania Mendonça,
Bernice Ankoma,
Kaya Middleton Grant.
Vaishnavi Reddy Anam.
Dana Miller.
Akhil Reddy Anapuredi.
Sushil Vardhan Reddy Minpuri.
Naveen Reddy Anugu.
Michael Charles Allen Mishley.
Caroline Rose Aramini.
Roma Rajesh Mishra.
Adarsh Ashok Kumar.
Bhargava Teja Mitnasala.
Say Deepthi Atla.
Mohan Babu Modem.
Parul Badaria.
Nivita Mohanraj.
Anu Bairi.
Yash Morbita Yadav.
Vinay Baja.
Gangaratnam Mone.
Somya Bale.
Deepesh Modiani.
Hima Swapna Bamidi.
Vijaya Prashant Mukiri.
Tejaswi Bandanadam.
Sai Krishna Mula.
Sayan Banerjee.
Snigdha Munuru.
Shilpa Bangalore Somashkekar.
Muskan.
Suhas Basavaraju.
Purnima Venkata Lakshmi Durga Mutyala.
Shiva Bastola.
Akila Nagabandi.
Asrita Batula.
Vinod Kumar Nagabairu.
Kiran Batul.
Manideep Nagendla.
Pravarsha Bimi Reddy.
Nagula Megansh Reddy.
Geetanjali Biram.
Yash Milind Naik.
Hina Begum.
Rakesh Yadav Naka.
Mutyam Reddy Bejanki.
Guru Saibabu Nalagu.
Daniel Vincent Benedict.
Amruta Namburi.
Prabalika Betha.
Sandhya Nandaram.
Pranjal Pramod Bhagat.
Dinesh Kumar Reddy Nandimandalam.
Sushil Bandari.
Ruatai Hanok Nauhapunkun.
Saili Satish Bangale.
Hritik Reddy Narayana.
Sakshi Bhattarai.
Dhanashekar Narayapana.
Surendra Sai Raj Batu.
Aman Srinivas Nilutla.
Rojal Bokiboya.
Lee Kanyo.
Asmi Bidurapane Suresh.
Venkata Kalyan Nidamarti.
Sophia Carmen Bishop.
Makrina Fausti Noel.
Ricky Bland.
Ram Sailesh Nrusimhadri.
Samuel Kwasi Boateng.
Maureen Awur Omondi.
Harshit Reddy Bodhi Reddy.
Lucinda Elizabeth Orenek.
Rushikesh Reddy Bomineni.
Snehit Padigelwar.
Duk Minbui.
Chaitanya Pagadala Lavakumar.
Roshini Bairi.
Sravani Paila.
Benkata Kushal Baisani.
Naveen Chowdhury Paladugu.
Benjamin Nadler Cameron.
Sai Harshit Reddy Palepu.
Luis Abraham Castillo.
Ezekiel James Palmer.
Jalu Tsen.
Harish Palutla.
Manan Chandrakant Davi.
Mahesh Palutla.
Bishal Reddy Chewala.
Monisha Panchakarla Satya.
Swathi Chidambaram.
Siddharth Pandit.
Adarsh Reddy Chira,
Ritu God Panjula,
Aravid Subhash Titenoni,
Vamshi Papisetti,
Mamta Chowdhury,
Sanjana Parsa,
Adam Tobias Cohen,
Jananika Parthipan,
Bidya Sagar Damavarapu,
Yugal Sai Parvati,
Prakash Dangi,
Parwinder Kaur,
Danana Harish,
Vaishali Deepak Bhai Patadia,
Bina Daruru,
Ankita Hardikumar Patel,
Kirtana Dasari,
Meet Sanjay Kumar Patel,
Paul Joshua Devarapalli,
Shivam Patel,
Sai Swetha Devi Reddy,
Ananta Patak,
Venkatesh Danuskodi,
Swati Sanjay Pata,
Mahim Dungel,
Sai Manikanta Ashrut Reddy Patlola,
Ruseli Paola Diaz Cueto,
Sai Raju Pata,
Megana Doda,
Yi Long Pung,
Sai Alu Prem Dogi Party,
Rahul Perala,
Sai Pritam Dongari,
Vamshi Perala,
Trilok Topalapudi,
Lakshmipati Raju Pricharla,
Harshit Dronabali,
Nguyen Lin Dan Pham,
Gagan Dua,
Mahima Polipaka,
Yamini Reddy Duba,
Adarsh Police,
Faith Odette Dugan,
Nikhil Kumar Putluri,
Akhil Krishna Dulikata,
Vishnu Puturi,
Anand Reddy Duvu,
Reji Podial,
Yeshwant Edara,
Krish Prakash Prajapati,
Preye Kaslista Emibabi,
Kalamakar Pujari,
Amos William Prasada Rao Eda,
Sai Krishna Reddy Pulugu,
Dirash Irla,
Sai Kumar Puta,
Kirutika Priyad Harshini Elamurugan,
Eliza Sofia Quinones Greer,
Laharika Elugam,
Tejasri Rachakonda,
Sainath Emadi,
Mihir Reddy Rachamala,
Nikita Eragani,
Madhumita Rajaraman,
Griffin J. Ford,
Santosh Rajasingaram,
Robin Francis,
Bharat Rajvanshi,
Tanusha Reddy Gadam,
Devika Ramakrishna,
Sai Yeshwant Reddy Gangi Reddy Gari,
Suprita Ramesha,
Rakshita Ganta,
Sristi Rana,
Shital Salti Gata,
Mayur Mangesh Rane,
Hritik Garg,
Raju Rangu,
Ravi Teja Gedada,
Chirag Prashant Rao,
Nitin George,
Arti Govind Rathod,
Ankush Girja,
Ayush Singh Rathod,
Marie Dominique Melem Nyanye,
Bhavana Lakshmi Ravi,
Rajat Goel,
Akhil Ravuri,
Sabia Goel,
Kritik Singh Rawat,
Vatsal Rameshbai Goel,
Dinesh Kumar Reddy,
Sindhu Gopana Boina,
Jack Fraser Rogerson,
Vijay Sekhar Reddy Gopi Reddy,
Bharat Rananki,
Harika Gubala,
Elizabeth Pauline Rosmanith,
Sritan Sai Gudikandula,
Sagar Satish Kumar,
Guduru Priyanka,
Ayush Sahare,
Nandini Gujula,
Satya Swarup Sahu,
Prashant Reddy Gulapeli,
Akhil Varma Sakineti,
Yash Gunjal,
Rachit Vivekanand Samart,
Ansh Gupta,
Divya Jyoti Sanapati,
Ishan Gupta,
Tejas Sangwan,
Jatin Gupta,
Raviteja Sanivali,
Sajid Kiran Yadav Guralu,
Nikhil Santosh Jacob,
Gurala Rakesh,
Akshata Sarvade Devanand,
Emily Hatewaith,
Sai Swarup Reddy Sati,
Kai Lee Ann Hall,
Dhruv Parishbai Savalia,
Soban Al Haq,
Harita Saviri,
Julie Sonia Harrowfield,
Irshad Ahmed Shaurai,
Sakina Hassani,
Anjali Harnesh Shah,
Aditya Hijmal,
Kantil Pravichandra Shaw,
Margaret Elizabeth Lattice,
Jishan Sheikh,
Rabindra Pratap Hota,
Mir Hussein Sheikh,
Gus Nye Hoy,
Salma Sultana Sheikh,
Menath Kumar Imandi,
Zainab Isak Sheikh,
Sanketh Shantaram Jadav,
Sahiti Shanagonda,
Gautav Jain,
Gaurav Sharma,
Sanoj Jakula,
Ritvik Sharma,
Narasimha Rao Jalagam,
Sanjana Sharma,
Someshwar Reddy Jambula,
Shreyas Raj Sharma,
Kayana James,
Bikal Shrestha,
Manikanta Jamoju,
Nirab Shrestha,
Divya Jilela,
Praveen Sadashiv Shrigadi,
Swapnil Sanjay Jojidode,
Pooja Shyamsundar,
Jaya Chandra Kadiveti,
Rajyalakshmi Singham,
Santya Naraya Kakarla,
Kritika Singh,
Shalini Kalikiri,
Samyak Singh,
Saiprane Kaleda,
Balakrishna Singhiri,
Prudvi Reddy Kalwakuntla,
Raya Helen Sinapen,
Chandrakant Namdev Kamble,
Rizreen Siraj,
Skrinanda Nitin Kumar Kamini,
Shri Raksha Siva Subramani,
Uday Kumar Kanju Komula,
Natalie Patricia Smith,
Chaitanya Benkanta Jagan Mohan Kanchumarti,
Sangamesh Ashok Sonale,
Sai Krishna Kandula,
Sramika Sriramaneni,
Pranav Reddy Kangari,
Jamie Michelle Stern,
Benkata Varun Chowdhury Kantameni,
Kanishma Subaya,
Krishna Teja Kapu,
Purna Sahiti Sunkara,
Melina Karki,
Tagore Sunkara,
Paparao Karlapudi,
Pooja Surapur,
Roshini Priya Karumuri,
Vamshi Kumar Suredi,
Hari Bignesh Karupaya,
Madhuri Swarna,
Nikhil Kasarla,
Uma Salma Saeed,
Giridhar Reddy Katasani,
Rishi Kumar Gupta Tadikamala,
Hemant Kumar Katrakuti,
Shrusti Deepak Talati,
Divya Teja Kata,
Venkata Lakshmi Tanuj Koduri,
Pranay Datta Kavukuntla,
Mihir Sanchiv Thakar,
Julia Watson Kane,
Rabi Takula,
Elizabeth Susanna Keller,
Blessy Angelina Tamadi,
Shrisha Kadka,
Kirti Nivashini Tangaraj,
Mohammed Mahin Khan,
Rahul Tapan Magar,
Shubham Kinger,
Krutik Reddy Tipi Reddy,
Harika Koduru,
Jayant Reddy Tipi Reddy,
Sri Lakshmi Kolagotla,
Abigail Rose Thompson,
Sai Teja Komuraveli,
Avinash Tum,
Chandranil Konda,
Meghana Thurugani,
Ramalingshvar Konda,
Mary Shrija Tuma,
Maxwell Jason Koppel,
Ajit Kumar Reddy Tumala,
Kotha Praveen,
Jahnabi Turumala City,
Tarun Kumar Koda,
Kabi Raj Tirua,
Ravi Teja Kovada,
Catherine Elizabeth Tucker,
Unati Koyalkar,
MD Main Udin,
Biswajit Krotapali,
Theodora Moria Uglean,
Sai Vamshvi Sirdsagar,
Umika,
Nabiashri Kudupuri Muniswarmi Naidu,
Manisha Vadlakonda,
Mithila Reddy Kon Kunuru,
Lakshmi Prasanna Vanam,
Avinash Kumar,
Peter James Vanderbroek,
Deepika Kumari,
Lokesh Reddy Vangala,
Neha Kumari,
Archana Vanguri,
Shaileja Sagar Kuturu,
Kushagra Vashista,
Suzinya Lama,
Vecham S. Eswar,
Bina Landis,
Dinesh Vempati,
Blake William Leisure,
Ria Verma,
Manideep Reddy Lebaka,
Shagun Verma,
Bamsi Krishna Reddy Lekala,
Vinay Kumar Reddy Vipala,
Mia Jordana Levine,
Tiffany Vo,
Harika Linga,
Pramod Vagle,
Harish Kumar Loganathan,
Olivia Wild,
Carlos A. Lopez,
Jennifer Rachel Wong,
Frank Lunetta,
Jiangjun Shu,
Nrusima Bharati Machiraju,
Harshit Yadav,
Tejaswi Rishikesh Madas,
Rishik Reddy Yala,
Meghana Madasi,
Sairam Yasa,
Harish Babu Madula,
Akshita Yedla,
Venkata Lakshmi Maduru,
Reshmita Yera,
Harshita Madiri,
Sarah Elizabeth Zambrano,
Varsha Sri Madhusud Hassan,
Lu Zhang,
Joshna Reddy Madi Reddy,
Peng Fei Zhang,
Saikruti Madi Reddy,
Praveen Anasaheb Zirali,
Good afternoon, and congratulations, class of 2024. My name is Paul Cutmore, and I serve as the Dean of the Becker School of Design and Technology. Will the candidates for the Masters of Fine Arts from the Becker School of Design and Technology. Please come forward.
Ronald James Anthony. Christopher James Cronshaw. Isabel D'Angelo. Tyler Gaughan. Edward Henry Gregg. Jay Lamb.
Good afternoon. My name is David Jordan, and I proudly serve as the Dean of the School of Management. We are last but certainly not least, will the incredible, brilliant, and magnificent candidates for the master's degree awarded through the School of Management please come forward.
Norhan Malek Abusala.
Neha Cole.
Kripa Adinkari.
Mihir Mahendra Koyande.
Srivali Adigarla.
Devki Kukadia.
Dhruvi Bijay Agarwal.
Tarun Kuravadugugam.
Shruti Agarwal.
Rosalie Leonard.
Mariam Amadi.
Chungjue Lo.
Olajumoke Oyorindi Akimbuli.
Hanting Lo.
Nikita Kalubai Akolia.
Longxing Lo.
Faisal Akram.
Swati Madali.
Srija Akutota.
Rajika Madikarmi.
Khulud Mohammed Al-Amdi.
Dipendra Mainali.
Himanshu Antil.
Sayara Mala Thakuri.
Preeti Arunchalam.
Saif Kam Maniar.
Umaid Ashraf.
Alexander McGregor.
Shue Song Bai.
Saubhagya Mishra.
Anusha Baidawar.
Vikas Mulidaran.
Sejal Bhargava.
MD Sadial Mursalim.
Jagruti Bingude.
Kartik Swami Nagar.
Himal Busal.
Harshini Nagaraju.
Srijan Beard Malakar.
Brijesh Nagesh Reddy.
Harika Bolineni.
Yash Rajesh Nahata.
John S. Brutezi.
Srija Nalabelli.
Karan Chowdhury.
Venkata Srikar Narahari.
Sobina Chauhan.
Mamata Nenavath.
Yashika Chauhan.
Tu An Nguyen.
Bishnu Chava.
Tracy Tao Nguyen.
Yen Bella Che.
Chris Swang Nguyen.
Yu Hui Chen.
Nia Ann Matthew.
Rohit Cherukupali.
Nalintip Nwanpak.
Bishnu Pranav Kumar Chatbar.
Sai Diraj Patakanti.
Guo Ting Chu.
Nachiket Venkatesh Pai.
Vidya Bharadwaj Chodaparu.
Sai Kishore Pantagani.
Kavita Chopra.
Veer Patel.
Zachary C. Conant.
Mahita Pena.
Nicholas Croce IV.
Akansha Podar.
Anselm Sunil Dabre.
Sweta Potu.
Jigyansha Dahal.
Samuel Dean Power.
Bira Saimohit Dandu.
Lakshmi Praveen Chavan.
Chanitsara Dao Charon.
Manisha Homnath Pudasini.
Dasuratna Nagasai Nana Kumari.
Avinash Bharadwaj Pula.
John W. Defemia.
Lavanya Purushotmanan.
Devasani Priyanka Reddy.
Rachel Madison Quinn.
Chambavi Dakal.
Someshwar Raman Suresh.
Bharath Chandra Darabath.
Sai Charan Reddy Ramasahayam.
Nikolai Dikovsky.
Kiara Ivelis Ramirez Lopez.
Rosalia Anselm de Mello.
Darshil Rajan Rana.
Chandana Dokadi.
Kavya Sindhu Rajapati.
Abhinav Reddy Duntupali.
Premraj Ravula.
Lawson H. Dunford.
Connor Rolnick.
Tu Phuong Duong.
Muhammad Khun Rustamyonova.
Connor P. Fitzgerald.
Karan Sachdeva.
Li Xia Fu.
Arpit Sahni.
Ethan J. Furphy.
Anish Sanan.
Uday Naidu Gadwala.
Regina Sapkota.
Diana Veronica Gallegos Rodriguez.
Jessica Ann Sardili.
Harsh Devang Gandhi.
Dilshad Hussain Saeed.
Kayer Deepak Gandhi.
Michael Joseph Schiappa.
Madhuri Ganguri.
Joshua Thomas Shibi.
Ram Danushk Garapati.
Skylar Schmidt.
Kartik Raj Gardas.
Akshat Abik Shah.
Lakshmi Garuda Charlalahi Rantnapa.
Dhruv Shah.
Elbek Guy Bulev.
Hrunai Chirag Shah.
Theophilus Ayensu Garde.
Pankaj Shah.
Aditya Gosal.
Albashi Anis Sheikh.
Vedang Gudetti.
Shailja Sharma.
Srinavya Guduru.
Suman Sharma.
Anar Guliev.
Samuel Caleb Siltler.
Jingwo.
Monica Singh.
Nehal Gupta.
Shreya Singh.
Mukesh Gupta.
Gabriel Spindell.
Elysia L. Hall.
Natalie Lynn Stillwell.
Rishab Handa.
Vijay Mahendra Surva.
Dylan Mark Harloff.
Saeed Abdul Rahim.
Hanya Hashemian.
Ankita Thakur.
Shamhit Manohar Hegde.
Jevelu Thogai Nathan.
Junxiang Hu.
Diana Liz Toribio.
Yan Fan Hu.
Diora Tursunova.
Haider Syed Abdul Kader.
Vaibhav Tyagi.
Lohit Yaganathan.
Emma Elizabeth Zakris.
Sakshi Jain,
Pragya Upreti,
Akash Sandeep Jaiswal,
Bansi Vinod Vaishnav,
Benkata Sai Fani Abhishek Jamala Magda,
Vamshi Teja Vangala,
Mahalakshmi Jadabel,
Daruv Verma,
Anushka Jha,
Simran Anil Vij,
Rushab Jawad,
Malavika Voriganti,
Ayush Jingal,
Li Dan Wang,
Jingbo Jiang,
Ziru Wang,
Punit Reddy Jina,
Pornchanit Warawidwatana,
Krishna Bilas Cabra,
Peiting Wu,
Manisha Kanan,
Shi Shui,
Kyati Kapoor,
Kung Shao Ye,
Ayushma Karki,
Shanmukh Yera,
Sanket Arun Kardwa,
Lur Yu,
Nikita Kasarla,
Chung Kai Zhang,
Kranti Kumar Reddy Kasi Reddy,
Jiahua Zhang,
Sonali KC,
Tao Zhang,
Kartik Kana,
Fang Zhao,
Pawina Klincharon,
Jingyi Zhao,
Shubham Pradeep Kolge,
Mingyang Zhao,
Bijay Narashar Reddy Konduru,
Yiyang Zhuang,
Elizabeth Luisa Kota,
Venkatawars Reddy Kaipu, Congratulations, everybody.
Congrats.
Today's exercises are a time-honored tradition that not only recognize individual achievement, but also institutional history and the relationship between the two. As I noted at the beginning, our graduates are all different, and yet you are now all the same in one respect. You are all graduates of Clark University. And as such, it is my honor to welcome you to the brilliant company of Clark alumni. As Chairman Lebovich mentioned in his welcoming remarks, none of us does what we do alone. So I'm going to ask for your help again. May I ask all graduates to please rise as you're able. Please now turn to your families and thank them for everything they did to support you on this journey. Okay. And please be seated for 2 more minutes. I promise we're close to the end here. I would now like to ask all of the Clark faculty who are here to please rise. Please join me in thanking them with your applause. Thank you. Graduates, As you leave Clark or complete this phase of your time at Clark, I urge you to embrace opportunities to learn something new every day, and to do that by continuing to hone your questioning spirit. You came to Clark looking for answers about subjects that interest you, about yourself and about the world, and I hope you found some. But I hope even more that you leave Clark able to ask more, different, and better questions. Every opportunity to question, whatever the motivation, curiosity, confusion, uncertainty, defiance, is an opportunity to hear something you may not have heard before. This is, of course, why listening is as important as speaking. The give and take of questions and answers is fundamental to your ongoing education and can and will enrich your life at every stage and along any path. My greatest hope for you is that you truly relish the never-finished business of the project that is you, that you embrace the joy of discovery still ahead, and that you seize the opportunities to learn even more about the world, yourself, and what fulfills you. Like the alumni who preceded you, it is now your turn, your moment to take your education and use it to better our world, to lead a life of purpose for yourself and others. Have confidence in you, in who you are, and what you are capable of. You have unlimited potential to do good, be compassionate, and shape those around you. Members of the graduating class of 2024, I congratulate you, your families and friends, and I wish you good fortune in all your journeys to come. I hope that you'll remain engaged with us, and we look forward to seeing all that you can and will do. Fiat Lux, let the light of Clark long illuminate your path. I now declare the 120th commencement exercises of Clark University closed.